Hello, hello, hello. Time for workshop number 2 of September, talking about emotional detox, the truth about emotional detox. So I am going to send this into the different groups. We will get started in a minute. Y'all let me know as you jump on though. Hey Michelle, how's it going? As y'all jump on, guys, do me a favor. If you can write down for me, what are you working on this week? And what are those unexpected or stronger than usual emotions that you've been feeling, okay? Welcome, guys. I hope that y'all are excited about this one. I am both excited and apprehensive, two different emotions. I'm hoping that I'm really hoping that I can get through everything that I want to get through. And I'm really hoping that it's helpful to you guys, that it makes sense. A few minutes ago, I posted in the Creativity Club, I asked you guys, have you done detoxes before? And I was quite surprised at the number of you who hadn't. Now, when I say detox, I'm talking about like try and give up caffeine or go on a diet, right? Reduce what you're taking in. Also, what else? Obviously a cleanse would be one of those. If you're not eating food like that, like you were saying, if you go in for like an operation and you don't eat food for 24 or 48 hours, you'll feel some of those detox symptoms. But basically, anytime you're trying to get healthier, anytime you're trying to get rid of a bad habit or you're trying to gain health, your body is going to detox. You will experience those symptoms. So I had y'all go look at my blog post just in case y'all haven't experienced that, so you can see. Because part of what we're going to do is compare and contrast, and you can't really compare and contrast if you have nothing to compare and contrast to. But just in general, real quick, and then I'm going to read what all of you guys put. So, when you detox, basically, just a real quick understanding before we get started, you will feel things like headache from like caffeine withdrawal and sugar withdrawal. You would feel aches and pains in your joints as all those toxins come back out. You could even feel pain in your liver or gallbladder as it works through. So like lots of physical, like actual pain, not just feeling yucky. So the pain is an important part to remember. Hey Jared, thank you for joining us. Welcome. So as we get started, I promised a few things. So I want to tell you what I had promised we would talk about. So emotional detox, the truth behind it, right? We've been talking for the past 2 months. We did breaking through fear, right? And then growing self-confidence. And the reason I said we were going to talk about transformation this month is because I need y'all to understand both the good and the bad side of transformation so that you don't get dissuaded from carrying on, right? So that you don't say, oh man, this is getting hard, and turn around and run. Because when you reach that really hard part is exactly when it's going to start to get better. So it's like the night is always darkest before the dawn, that sort of a thing. You go in the cocoon before you become a butterfly. So detox is a huge part of that. And a lot of you guys, as soon as I posted we would be doing this, were really excited about this topic. So I hope that it really resonates. I'm going to read what y'all said first. Let's see. So everyone who joined later, I asked everybody, what have you been working on this week in your personal life? What were your intentions or something like that? What were you working on? And then what were some of the unusually strong or surprising emotions that you felt kind of were a response to that you hadn't expected? So frustration, is a normal one, resistance to change, things like that. So as we go through, I will encourage everybody to chime in. Do chime in if you feel comfortable. If you don't, that's okay, but the more you interact, the more you'll get out of it, and we are all in this together. So Michelle said, I've been working on getting all my thoughts in order and finally back on track to get my emotional frazzle under control. Last week I was honestly emotionally annoying. It was honestly emotionally annoying to me, but after doing some self-care, I feel better and am working on it better. Okay, and then and then Michelle, you're also doing the caffeine thing. You said you've been away from caffeine since Friday. So far, so good, except this nasty headache over the weekend. I mean, that's just exactly what happens. It's your brain is used to it. Joanne, okay. Working on the disparity between where I am and where I want to be and how to ever even get there. So I've not been able to stay asleep at night. There's the worry and actual physical pain. Okay, so what Joanne is saying is, now that you see where you want to go, now that you feel like, okay, I've created this big goal for myself, I might actually be able to get there. That is when that fear immediately hits, fear of failure, fear that you won't be able to do it anytime soon. Ida, you and I were just talking about this, right? Like seeing where you want to go, and then how are you going to get there? And that's immediately when your brain starts to kind of freak out on you. So, a couple of things that I want to talk about first. We're going to start out with our transformation oil. If you have your transformation oil or the oil that you've been using this month, I want to do the affirmation together. So drop of oil in your hand, okay? And the affirmation for this month is the 3-part, pretty simple one, okay? Okay, so we're going to do it together. We'll repeat each 3 times, okay? The past falls away is the first one. That's what we're going to focus on tonight. And I have something on I have Sharpie on myself. Okay. The past falls away. The past falls away. The past falls away. And then the present is light. The present is light. The present is light. The present is light. And then my true path lies before me. 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 So last week, we focused a little bit on my present is light, right? And next week we're going to talk more about my true path lies before me. But today I want y'all to write down, if you can think of, the past falls away. I asked y'all this in the Creativity Club this week. What does that mean to you? I'm going to read through my list, okay? The past falls away. That is basically the detoxing, right? Getting rid of things that no longer serve us in a positive and productive manner anymore. I have not being resistant to growth, accepting detox as a natural part of transformation, willing to forgive myself and others. I'm not tied down to my old identity anymore. Not afraid to exist without excuses. That can be a big one of, I can think to myself, well, at least if I can't do this, it's because of my medical issues, or it's because I'm disorganized, or it's because I'm overworked, or it's because whatever. So I'm willing to live without those excuses. I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to put in more effort than I was putting before. I understand what my limiting beliefs are, and I'm ready to move past them. I understand how I'm holding myself back, and I'm willing to give that up. So that's what the past falls away means to me. They're all super important things, but as I read those, you probably think, well, that's not very easy, right? It's not easy to decide to live without the excuses. It's not easy to decide I'm going to put more effort in. It's not easy to decide I don't need my old self. I don't need my old identity anymore. Those are all scary things, and this is why we need to talk about emotional detox as a real part of this, okay? So, here's the why. I want to talk about a second. Why is it that we don't change? Why is it that we're afraid of the pain point of saying it's bad enough that I need to stop doing what I'm doing, and I need to change, and I need to grow and do something else? Why are we holding on to these negative emotions? The negative emotions that are the detox that we need to get rid of, why are we holding on to those, okay? And I thought I would use this later, but I'm going to go ahead and show it to you guys now. This came to me this morning as I was preparing for a coaching session, actually, this little drawing. And so if you have a sheet of paper, I want you to draw on a sheet of paper like a diamond like this, okay? A diamond like this. And the first side of the diamond, I know this is backwards, so sorry. The first side of the diamond is the past, okay? On your left-hand side of the paper would be the past. And the other side of the diamond would be the future. And right here in the middle of this diamond is the point of change, okay? The point, you can call that your pivot, you can call it your really kind of a moment of transformation. You can call it hitting rock bottom, right? And then headed back up. But the point of change. And in the past, as we do this, what do we have to get rid of? Memories, so bad memories, but also we may have to let go of some good memories that we're holding on to, what we call better days. Oh, back in the good old days, it wasn't as hard, or I used to be happier. I used to enjoy my life more. Having to let go of that and accept where we are now. letting go of trauma or heartbreak, letting go of bad habits, old habits that no longer serve us in a positive and productive manner, and letting go of addictions. And I don't just mean alcohol, smoking, fatty foods, all that stuff. I mean things that we feel like we can't live without. We're going to talk about that more in a second. But as you see this diamond shape, this is resistance. The more of these you're trying to get rid of, and the faster you're trying to get rid of them, the wider this cone gets, the more resistance there is. Until you break that point and make it past that point, and then it gets easier. So I don't know what the name for that is except the diamond shape. I'm just going to coin that term. But what's on the other side here, okay? Things, positive and negative ways we can see our future. The unknown, fear of the unknown. You might start to feel that. Letting go. So you might feel resistance to letting go. Goals, intentions, and mindfulness, okay? So these, letting go, goals, intention, and mindfulness is where we're trying to get to. And so what happens in detox phase is a resistance to every single one of those. A resistance to letting go, a resistance to my goals. I set all these great goals and I just cannot make myself start, right? All of a sudden you want to work less hard. You want to watch TV. Suddenly you're just allergic to getting things done as part of detox. Intention setting, right? You just don't want to do it in the morning. You just feel like, oh, this is pulling teeth. Erin says I have to set these intentions, but I just don't want to. And then mindfulness, trying to distract ourselves from thinking through the situation. When you know that you need to get over something and you know that you need to dig down deep and you know you need to have conversations with yourself, when you would rather do anything, you would rather find anything to busy yourself. It's a lot like when you need to clean your room, right? You need to clean your room, and what do you do all day long? You clean the kitchen, clean the bathroom, you watch some TV, you get a little work done, you do anything except the thing you don't want to do. That's the opposite of mindfulness, right? Okay, so what causes that resistance? What's all the stuff that's holding you back on this side? I believe, if I'm saying that these emotions, that releasing these emotions are like toxins, I honestly believe that it's a form of addiction that we have to get over. That not only are there physical things, like when we're physically detoxing from sugar, we're physically detoxing from caffeine, or for me, like grains, I don't digest grains well, and so then whenever I detox, I feel some of those same pains that I felt when I was eating all the grains. So why are we addicted to these negative emotions? I was telling someone today that if you need people to love you, if you need to feel accepted, a lot of times you can end up resenting those people, right? You can give, and then resent them. You could resent your boss, you could resent your partner in life, you could resent your kids, you could resent all sorts of things, right? That resentment you can actually get addicted to because it actually means to you that those people needed you. It means that you had a connection with them, even if it was a connection where they were taking more than they were giving back to you, okay? So, some other addictions. And y'all chime in. What are some reasons that we might hang on to these things? What's a reason you would eat a whole pizza and then feel like crap, right? Why are you eating the pizza? You're eating it because that feeling of laying down, of being lethargic, is what you wanted. Falling asleep, heaviness. You were looking for that comfort, even though it doesn't actually feel good. You'd rather have energy, but you just feel like you have to have that comfort food. So what makes us addicted, okay? A need to get something. A need to get something from other people. So fear. People who feel a lot of fear, when you feel fear and when you express that fear to someone else, what happens? Oh, it's going to be okay. Don't worry about it. It's going to be fine. No, you're doing great. You're doing everything that you can. There's nothing else you can. Just don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it, right? Every time you share a fear with someone else, their immediate reaction is to try and reassure you. So if you have a need for reassurance, you start creating fear where it's not needed so that you get that reassurance from people. Does that make sense? So it becomes hard to give up fear because you don't get that reassurance. You don't get that personal interaction. Michelle, let me see what you said. It's our comfort zone from staying in those negative feelings so long. You know what those feel like. I know what fear feels like, and I know that if I feel that bad thing, somebody will help me, right? Sadness, okay? Being comforted. When you're sad, you get a hug, right? Someone tells you that they love you. Don't be sad. It's going to be okay. They might even do nice things for you. You basically, if you feel that bad emotion, then you get something from someone that you feel that you need. And we actually psychologically need these things, right? We need reassurance. We need comfort. We need to feel accepted. But what we're actually doing is hurting ourselves in order to get those feelings, rather than getting them in a natural way, rather than getting love from people the normal way. We create these negative feelings so that people are forced to give them to us. And they may not feel that way, but if someone comes up to me and says, I'm like, I just feel like crap today, I just need a hug. What are you going to do? Not hug them, right? So we're actually making it harder on ourselves to get something out of other people. Okay, anger. Anger, you feel justified, right? Somebody will say, no, you're totally right. You should totally be angry. They were completely wrong. How could they treat you that way, right? Misery loves company. If you want to be miserable, you want to be angry about something, you can find somebody who will support you in that, who will tell you that you're justified, who will make you feel good about yourself and make that belittle that other person. Low energy or sickness. A lot of us deal with immune issues or illnesses, long-term illnesses. And if you just can't, right? If I just cannot get up and do my work today, I just can't, wash the dishes, I just can't make the bed, whatever, people will come along and they'll help you and they'll actually do it for you, right? They'll hold your hand. They'll cater to you. And so sometimes getting past that point of just low energy of not being able to do it means you got to do more, because people are going to stop doing stuff from you once you're healthy. And this is not the way everyone feels, but it's the way a lot of us feel at least some of the time, right? So what's the opposite of that? If you have fear and getting reassurance, what happens if you can push through? You lose, at some point, you lose the ability to have somebody reassure you. If I don't tell you that I'm afraid, if I keep that from you, if I just keep my fear to myself, then you're not going to reassure me. So I lose the chance for you to reassure me. But what do I get instead? If I can push through that fear and make it happen anyway, then I get the ability to rely on myself. I get the self-confidence of being able to take care of the situation, of saying, I've looked you in the face, fear, and you're not worth stopping for. What I want on the other side is more important, and I'm going to get it. And if I make it happen, now I have confidence based on the fact that I can do it, right? So on the one end, reassurance is kind of like eating junk food. You're getting that kind of high, but it's not as good as eating the wholesome food of self-assurance, assurance that you can do it. If you have sadness and comfort, right, you may feel lonely. If you let go of that, if you don't share that with people, you might feel like nobody cares about me, it's just me. But you end up finding comfort in yourself. There may just be a point where you need to have conversations with yourself. You need to learn to love yourself rather than finding people to love you. And once you can do that, once you can be happy in your own company, then everybody else is happier in your company too. But that's an uncomfortable place for a lot of us to be in, because we don't like ourselves. And you have to learn to like yourself before other people can, right? Anger. Okay, if you give up justification, then you're relinquishing your power over the situation. You feel like you can make that person miserable, or you can, make other people not like them, or you can be right. And if you give that up, then it feels like you've lost control of the situation. You've lost power over that person. But what you've actually done is you've removed that weight from your shoulders. You've said, no, this situation doesn't have power over me at all. I'm moving on. You don't even have to worry about it anymore. You're giving up the junk food of justification, and you're getting the wholesome food of just freedom. Freedom from that situation, right? And then low energy, being catered to, right? Having people help you out. You have to go through the no excuses phase, but on the other side, you get energy. You get the ability to do it, and then you feel like, oh my goodness, like there's nothing to hold me back anymore. The world, the world is my oyster. I can do whatever I want to. And that's not to say that some of these things serve us, right? There's a moment in our life, there's a moment where I was sick. I could barely walk up the stairs at night. I cried every morning when I had to go to work. And I needed to be catered to. I needed people to help me, and there were people who did, and there were people who let me down. But that no longer served me in a positive and productive manner. There was a point at which I wanted more from life than I could get from that, and I was willing to do whatever it took to get there. I was willing to try weird medicine. That didn't work. I was willing to try these weird essential oils, and that did work, right? Anger. There's a point at which you have to decide, this no longer serves me. I needed to work through that. I needed to know that I was right. I needed to know that I tried my hardest to make XYZ work, that I didn't do something wrong. But now I'm ready to move on from my life, and I'm ready to be free of that. So this is the change point, right? As I talked about in the little triangle, this is the change point. And all of the feelings intensify. They intensify. It's like a crescendo and a decrescendo. If you need that, if you know what that means, okay? So it crescendos to the point of change, and then it decrescendos. It gets not so bad over time. So we're going to talk about this. Similarities and differences between physical and emotional detox, okay? So I said physical detox is like when you stop having caffeine, right? And you suffer symptoms from getting rid of caffeine, or getting rid of sugar, or getting rid of carbs, or getting rid of things that you're allergic to, right? Getting rid of alcohol, any of that stuff. So here's what happens in physical and emotional detox. Here's where they're the same. Number one, withdrawal. And if y'all are taking notes, this is your moment to write it down, because you're going to see this in your life, and you're going to be able to map your way through it. It's a little bit like what is it? The steps of grief, right? What's going to happen, so that you know what's going to happen, so you're prepared. Okay. So what happens when you quit an addiction? Withdrawal. So you get no comfort from an outside source. All of a sudden you're saying, all right, I got to wake up, and I got to have energy, and I can't have coffee. That coffee was giving me support from an outside source, and I've taken that away, and now I got to figure out a way to provide my own energy from within myself, right? So emotionally, like I was just saying, fear, you get reassurance. You have to let go of somebody else reassuring you in the face of fear. It's just you. And that's your withdrawal symptom, withdrawal from what it is that people are giving you. Okay, number two, after withdrawal, is detox. So you have to process the toxins that were in the body. Your body is now, what's happening when you, like, say you just do a juice cleanse or something like that. You take away all of that bad stuff you were putting into your body, and you free your body up to work through the toxins that are already there, okay? So if I only put green juice into my body has time and energy to digest the green juice, but then also pull out the toxins from my joints, from my muscles, from the lining of my intestines, all that stuff, and process it and send it through my system. So you have to process the toxins, and let me tell you, when they went in, okay, they hurt. You may not have even known it. That hangover that you had the day after you drank a bunch, that was painful. Okay, when you detox from alcohol, you're going to feel that same pain. That's how this works. So 3, tiredness. Your body is working overtime at this point. When you're detoxing, your body is processing whatever food you're giving it, plus it's processing through all of those toxins that you had in your system. So you're going to be exhausted. That's just all there is to it. Your body is going to be processing toxins and producing less energy, and you may be still trying to go to work and do all this other stuff. That happens not only in physical but also in emotional. Okay, number 4 is release. That's when you start to feel a little bit better. You start to have better days. You start to not get the headache so much. You start to not have the pain so much. And on the emotional side, you start to have fewer symptoms. Those scary emotions that you had coming up start to decline, okay? And then elation is step 5, is the final step. Elation, where you wake up and you realize, I'm not the same person that I was a month ago, or 6 months ago, or last week. I have more energy. I have a more positive mindset. I feel more self-confident. I feel like I can take care of myself, right? I'm just a different person, and I'm moving forward, and I can now feel it. And that my friends, feels amazing, right? That sense of elation is worth all of the pain and the suffering of the detox, because that sense of elation will carry you. You will get more done in that time than you did for weeks and weeks and weeks at your lower energy level. And now that you've gone through a detox once, now that you've gone through one cycle of transformation, you know how to do it over and over again, and it gets easier and easier. So when you detox, this is super important to understand, okay? Everyone zone in right now. When you detox the easiest, highest level things first. So what went last in comes out first. And like if I drink a whole bunch of alcohol and then start a cleanse the next day, the first thing my body processes is the alcohol that just went in, right? And then it's the alcohol that went in the day before, and then it's the pizza I had the day before that. And eventually, they say that stubborn fat, right? If you're trying to lose weight, you get to a point where it's very, very hard to lose that last 10 pounds. Those 10 pounds are the ones you put on like 10 years ago. It's much, much, much harder to get out the deep-rooted stuff. The same thing with emotions. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to work through some of these things that have come on recently. You might have recently had some money stress, or recently, even recently gone through a breakup, or recently started a business and the frustration that comes with that. And you can work through some of those fairly simply, right? They come out first, but then the things from when you were 5 years old, the things from when you were 10, that the first bad breakup that has sent you on a series of reliving the same cycle over and over again. Those initial things that cause heartache later in life because you repeat bad patterns, those are a lot harder to get out. It's just like the last 10 pounds of stubborn fat, okay? So each new round of detox reaches deeper and deeper and deeper. And this is why our weekly and our monthly intention and releasing ceremonies are so important. So every Sunday, right, in the Creativity Club, I post a releasing post. And every Monday I do an intention setting post. And we repeat this every week. And then every month we do an intention setting ceremony. And at the end we do a releasing ceremony. The reason for this is because it's easier to get rid of that stuff that happened this week that frustrated you than it is for you to sit on that for a month, 2 months, 3 months, a year, and then try and get rid of it. Y'all give me some thumbs up if that makes sense. Get rid of it now while it's still in the surface layer, right, of your body, of your mind, of your soul. Get rid of it now. Don't let it get ingrained in there, and then try and work through it months and months and months down the road. It's going to be stuck. It's going to hurt more coming out, okay? So I'm going to delve deeper. I've gone through the 5 things, right? Withdrawal, detox, tiredness, release, and elation, okay? I'm going to dig a little bit deeper into those. So y'all chime in. Which of those are you in right now? If you're feeling any of these, are you feeling withdrawal from people giving you comfort? Are you feeling detox? Can you feel yourself, the nightmare part of it, working through those emotions? Do you feel exhausted? Are you starting to have better days? Do you feel amazing, right? Y'all let me know where you are. Okay, withdrawal. So, here's the part I want y'all to realize. We're going to talk more in terms of emotions, and I'm going to try and make less of a reference to the physical, and we're going to talk about some of the differences here. So withdrawal would be if I'm going to let go of fear, okay? Well, what have we been... I asked you guys what yours were. Y'all wanted to get over overwhelm and frustration, letting go of the past. Those were the 3 main things, okay? So let's talk about overwhelm. Usually that's a lack of control. You feel like there's so much to do, and how am I going to do it all? So if I want to let go of a sense of overwhelm or lack of control, my withdrawal is going to be the fact that I may have to let some things slide, right? I may have to realize my to-do list is too long. I can't do everything. I cannot be on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, blogging, and sending out emails and running a Facebook group all the time, right? I can't be everywhere all at once. I'm a one-person business. And so that overwhelm, one of the first things you have to do is say, Erin, what can you actually do? What can you influence? It's the circle of influence and concern that we did last week, right? Y'all remember that? You put the things you can control in the inner circle, and outside were all of the things you couldn't control. You might have to shift some things into I can't control it, and so I'm not going to worry about it. But then that feels like crap. You feel like, but I'm not getting it done. But how am I going to grow my business if I'm not on Pinterest? What am I going to do? Nobody's going to buy my stuff because I'm not on Pinterest, right? Or you may decide, you may have to tell your kids, look, we don't have money for you to do ballet right now. I'm overwhelmed by time and money of taking you to ballet classes. We're not going to be able to do it this year. That's happened to me growing up, right? That was just something we couldn't afford, sometimes an extracurricular activity. And that must have sucked for my parents because they felt like, bad parents if they couldn't give us everything, right? But you have to be willing to say, this sucks, but I know that I can't do it. And so rather than going back to my sense of, let me just try and do it and get overwhelmed, that's your junk food. Rather than go back to that, let me just try, and the result is the same, you still can't get it all done, but at least you feel good about trying. You go through the withdrawal and you just say, it's okay, it's okay. Then detox, okay? Y'all let me know if on any of these points you have an emotion you want me to explain, maybe how this would interact for you. Because I'm just going to use random examples. Okay, so detoxing. As the toxins come out, okay, they've been stored all over your body when you're doing a physical detox, right? If I drink whiskey, my shoulders hurt. If I drink wine, my head hurts. So I know this. So I know if I'm detoxing, if I do a cleanse, if I've been drinking a lot of whiskey, my shoulders and my elbows and my knees are going to really, really hurt because it goes into my joints. If I do wine, I'm probably going to have a bad headache. I am like super, super in tune with my body, right? I like probably freakily so. So you may not know exactly where that pain is going to be. And so all of a sudden when your elbows are killing you, you're like, what in heaven's name? And you just like feel like crap, but you don't realize where it's coming from. Well, the same thing is true of emotions. All of these triggers are stored all over your body. So lack of control, it can be stored in all sorts of places that you didn't even realize. It can be stored in a memory about, let me think. So maybe we're coming up at reviews at your job, and all of a sudden you're getting super stressed, and you're trying to detox this lack of control, and all of a sudden this is really triggering you. You had no idea that when somebody pays you more or doesn't pay you more is a place you stored that lack of self-control, that fear of lack of self-control, but you did. If someone is rude to you, if you're in a retail job, and someone is rude to you, or if running your business, someone gives you a bad review, and right in the moment when you're trying to detox, that might trigger you because that was where you stored some of that fear of a lack of control. Anger, right? People if somebody treats somebody else wrong, you might get all of a sudden you're just like super angry about that, even though you would usually just let them worry about it. But while you're detoxing and you're telling yourself, I want to process through this anger, there are going to be more and more things around that trigger you. This is where you get the nightmares, okay? We've talked about this a little bit over the past couple months. As you try and grow yourself as a person, you are going to have nightmares. And the reason for that is because this stuff that is really, really deep, deep down, so deep down that it's below subconscious level, it's like down, 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 there. The first way that you start to work through those is it gets just enough up to where your brain can deal with it while it's sleeping. Does that make sense? It gets just enough up there where your subconscious mind can handle it. And then it comes out in weird dreams that aren't necessarily exactly the thing you're worried about, but they are just your brain working through it. Like, I have a fear of sharks. So if I'm working through fear, I might have shark dreams even though I'm not going to the beach anytime soon. But I have those dreams anyway because it's my brain trying to work through it, okay? And you may just be going along through life and all of a sudden you can feel your brain is saying, let's work through this. After you go through the dreams, it goes into real life. So if somebody is rude to me and I'm working on non-judgment, right? Then that might make me more angry than I normally would be, because my brain is ready to deal with that. It's ready to say, here's your moment to either have a good attitude or have a bad attitude, and you're initially going to want to have a bad attitude because that is your old way of being. And it's going to be hard to work through that and have the better attitude. Okay, at these moments, the worst thing that you can do is say, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. The worst thing you can say is, I can't deal with it today. I'll deal with it tomorrow. No. Okay. That is called emotional constipation. Yes, that's delightful, right? Emotional constipation. So, when you're detoxing, when you're doing a physical detox, the first thing they'll say is make sure that you're regular. Make sure that you do not become constipated. Your digestion time may change as you change your diet, blah, blah, blah. Make sure that you're regular. The reason they say that is because as these toxins come out of your joints, come out of your muscles, come out of your brain, come out of wherever, if they can't make it through your body quickly and get out of your body, they get stored again. So you can literally go through all of the trouble of having this pain of detox, getting this stuff out of your joints, and then it just sits in your digestive tract and it gets reabsorbed and it goes back into your body. That's the exact same thing that happens with emotions. If you say, I'm ready to work through fear of lack of self-control, and then anytime that happens, you go back to your old ways and you say, I can't deal with it, I can't deal. That emotion gets stored again. You have to let it go. That may be sitting on the couch and crying. That may be yelling at someone and then apologizing. It may be having a day where you just lay there and you just don't do anything. Meditating. Could be, writing in your journal, but you have got to stop and take care of it. It may be inconvenient, but this is the moment where once you get rid of it, you get pushed so far forward in life that it is absolutely worth it. If you need to take a weekend to start working through some emotional issues, if you need to take a weekend, if you need to take a vacation, if you need to go to a retreat, whatever you need to do, that's what you need to do, because it will get you so much farther in life. It will be 100% worth it. And just staying stuck is 100% not worth it. So let's talk about tiredness. This goes the same thing. You're going to be emotionally exhausted. You're probably going to be physically exhausted. You're probably going to not feel like getting your to-do list done. So if you can take a day off, if you can take 2 days off when you feel like this is hitting you, then do it. Give yourself, your body, your mind, your spirit the rest that it needs. If you can't, then have grace with yourself. Realize a project may take a little bit longer, right? Things that you could have gotten done very quickly when you were being mindless, once you become mindful and are working through your triggers, they just may take longer. And that can make you feel like a failure. That can make you feel like it was so much better before, but it wasn't, because you hadn't dealt with any of these things, right? Let's say you're afraid of photography. You're afraid, you don't like taking photographs, and you decide, for my business, I am going to learn to take photographs, right? What's the first thing that happens? You take a photograph and you don't like it and you feel like a failure. You've lost your excuse of being a bad photographer, so I'll just have somebody else do it. You've lost that excuse because now you're saying, I'm going to learn. You feel like a failure. You feel like everybody's better than you. All of that stuff feels like crap. If you just go back and say, never mind, I'm just going to pay somebody to do my photographs, you haven't learned anything, and all you've done is have pain for nothing. If you push through and you take another bad photograph and another bad photograph and a slightly less bad one and then a slightly better one and then a little bit better one, and then a month from now, hey, these aren't so bad. These are like better than what I took before. And a year from now, it actually looks like you know what you're doing. That is so worth it, because you have just saved yourself time, frustration, and money by learning a new skill, right? And taking photographs may not apply to everybody, but it might apply to doing a diet plan, right? Getting healthy, saying, I'm going to cook a good meal, and the first time that you fail at it, don't go back and say, never mind, I'm going to give up, I'm just going to weigh what I weigh, and I'm just going to be unhealthy, and I'm just going to be unhappy for the rest of my life. No! keep trying, and next week you'll do better, and then next week you'll do better, and then 6 months from now you'll look back and you say, boy, I used to eat potato chips 3 times a week for dinner, and now I only do it like once a month, right? Long-term growth. We're looking for our life path here, not just being happy for today. Just being happy for today gets us macaroni and cheese and pizza and Diet Coke and ice cream and a movie. Being happy long-term gets us putting in the effort, taking better care of ourselves mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, and actually then getting to live our passion, live our purpose, and feel fulfilled, right? Once you get there, once you get past that exhaustion, the energy that you have in this release and the elation phase is just crazy better than you thought. So I often talk with you guys who have known me for a while. We'll talk about how people who knew me a year ago, who knew me 2 years ago, 3 years ago, then I'm a totally different person. Partly I'm more real. I'm more open about my life, about my struggles. And I wasn't. I was very closed off. I would listen to other people's problems, but I didn't like to talk about mine because I hadn't dealt with them myself. I have way more energy. I don't get sick nearly as often. I don't have pain nearly as often. My list of illnesses, if you want to talk about, okay, let me think. This is a good, so y'all can get a good idea. Probably a year and a half ago, 2 years ago now, I had asthma, allergies, frequent headache and neck aches leading to migraines, shoulder pain. I messed up my spine and my, I pinched a nerve. I lost feeling in my right arm for total feeling for a month. Slowly came back. 6 months later, I still couldn't lift anything heavy. I had hypothyroidism, poor digestion, gallstones. What am I missing? Oh, I used to get tonsillitis all the time. I got sick a lot. I was exhausted. I didn't even know I was depressed, but I was because of the hypothyroid. And that was me. I was kind of a bummer. Oh, I was overweight too. And my weight fluctuated a lot because of my hypothyroidism. Right? Bummer, dude. Sorry. I don't sound like much fun. I wasn't much fun. I had trouble walking up my steps at night. I had a terrible relationship. Emotionally, I was a wreck. I'm just talking, I just listed the physical, but emotionally, I was a wreck too. Low self-esteem, anger, resentment, fear of loss of control, addiction. I drank a lot. I can't smoke because of my asthma, thank goodness. I was around negative people. All terrible things, right? I was not the me that you know. And I didn't change on my own. I had help, right? I found better people to be around, and I found a passion, and I found a way to take a step back from a place I didn't love, working a job I didn't like, and to pursue my creative passion. I have my wonderful boyfriend who takes on a lot of the financial stuff in the house and a lot of the other things, and it works really long hours so that I can do this. And, has been willing to listen to me go through a lot of this detox stuff. But I really just got to the point where I just knew I didn't want to be the way that I was. And it really, at that point, it sucked so much, it didn't even care if it hurt more. Hurting, being more tired, having more pain, being more sad, none of that was such a big deal because it was so bad already that it was just it wouldn't really make a difference. And so I am so used at this point now to these cycles of transformation that I'm almost in a constant state of flux. I'm almost constantly detoxing from something and moving on to the next thing, and detoxing from that thing that no longer serves me and moving on to the next thing, detoxing from something else and moving on to the next thing. This is just the way that I am. And so the emotional back and forth, I've kind of learned to love because it means I'm moving forward, right? And I'm able to handle them with less fear. When I feel a strong emotion, I know that it's an emotion and I know that it's not a reality. So I just want to tell you guys, we're talking I started taking essential oils in November of last year, right? So the me that had super low energy doesn't exist anymore. I don't use the oils I was using to help support balanced hormones. I don't use them every day anymore because I don't need them, because there's so much of the stuff has changed in my life. And you can do that too, but I wanted to take this week specifically, but this month, to express to you that it won't always be easy. Going from where I was to getting here was not a beautiful climb. It wasn't, it was like this, okay, but headed up in the right direction. And as long as you know where you're headed, as long as you know what you want, as long as you know you're getting there, it makes it easier to have the dips along the way, as long as you know that you're headed up. And thank you, Jen. You're so sweet. So if y'all have, if you have questions so far, ask me. I went off on a tangent. I just wanted to say that. I wanted you guys to know that I know where you're coming from. I don't want you to ever feel like I think that I've made it and I'm telling you how to get there. I want you to know that I'm doing this with you, and that because of that, you can't tell me anything that would surprise or shock or make me not want to talk to you. So we can do any of it. We can work through any of it. That is totally fine. Okay, so let's get to my only other caveat. So I said releasing, it gets easier, right? You have better days. You have days where you feel great. You have days where you feel totally self-confident. And then those days where you feel the fear again, or you feel the frustration again, they get fewer and farther between. And then all of a sudden you turn around and you're totally different. So elation is the moment when you realize I'm not the same person anymore. I'm a better person than I was before. And that's not in a judgment, good or bad way. I'm a better functioning person, right? I can get more done. I have more energy. I'm happier. I'm more positive. I'm more loving of other people. I'm more accepting. I'm less judgmental. All of those things that you want to be. You just realize I'm starting to blossom into a better person. Here's my final caveat. As this happens, you will find a lot of really, really wonderful people who will hug you and love you and say how happy they are that you're growing into yourself, that you're becoming a wonderful person. People like Jen says I'm an inspiration. I mean, all of you guys who have seen me transforming and are nothing but totally positive about me and about each other, all of that is amazing. But you will also have people in your life who don't want you to change, because mostly they're not ready to change, and they perceive your growth as a negative on them. They see you becoming better, and they assume judgment on themselves, even if you're not thinking it. Even if you still love them just the same way, if they see you getting ahead of them, they can want to pull you back down to get rid of some of the gap, if that makes sense. There are other people who they want to be better than you. They felt like they were better than you before, and now that you're growing, they want to push you back down because if you get better than them, that is part of what their self-esteem was based on, and they don't have it anymore. So you need to keep the people and the environments that are nurturing to you, that are supportive for you, that make you feel like you're headed in the right direction, that encourage your growth. And you want to let go of the people, the situations, the habits that are holding you back. And sometimes those are people that you love. Sometimes those are people that you've spent a lot of time with, right? Sometimes you just have to distance yourself, and it's better for them and it's better for you because you don't want to keep arguing about it. Jen, you said, this has been a struggle, maintaining relationships with people who get upset when you express that your life is going well, people who want to bring you down. The only thing that you can do is love those people the same, but have less contact. And, if that's a significant other, I mean, obviously, that can be hard, but hopefully it's not. Hopefully your significant other is mostly, right, mostly supportive, although they're not perfect either. But if it's somebody that you don't have to have, long conversations with, then just tell them you love them, ask them how they're doing, and don't give them details. Your giant dreams, only tell those to people who can hold them in their hands, right? The great things about your life, the great dreams that you have for yourself, the belief that you have in yourself, don't tell that to people who don't want to hear it. Don't tell that to people who can't dream as big as you. Be with the people who can support you, and distance yourself from the people who can't, and don't judge them for that. That's just not their role in your life right now, right? So enter the creativity club, right? That's what I created the creativity club for. That's what the Facebook group is for. So that every day I am putting in there something for you guys to be using for your growth. A thought, a question, a quote, a challenge. And that's a place for you to share what's going on in your life, and not be afraid of what other people judging you, because everybody who's in there is wanting to grow too, right? And you can find that in real life too. Obviously, your friend circle, just keep it tight knit. Just make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people who really want you to do well. So that gets me to preparing for detox, okay? So we talked about why it happens. We talked about the similarities and the differences between physical and emotional detox, right? What's happening, what's going on. How do you actually work through it? Okay, so prepare for it. If you know this month I have the intention to deal with impatience, prepare yourself for whatever the resistance will be personally, and prepare yourself for this journey. So know what it will be like. This month, as you go through this, now that you're aware of what emotional detox feels like, write it down, journal, keep your gratitude journal, right? When you're writing that, what you're grateful for from yesterday, your intentions for today, maybe write down how you felt. Just keep a little log of what days were better, what days were worse, the weird emotional thing that popped up, the trigger that you felt. That way, the next time you go through this cycle, it's less scary because you have notes of how you were able to get through it, right? You have notes of what it's going to feel like, and you also have notes of how it was okay in the end. So know that it's not going to be as bad each time. It gets easier and easier. Then tell your loved ones, right? Don't just decide that I'm going to become a more organized person, right? I did that a couple months ago. I'm going to be more organized. And then go around saying to myself, I'm organized, I'm organized, I'm organized. And then somebody says, boy, like your area is so cluttered. Why are you always such a mess? Immediately, I'm going to be pissed off because I don't want them to remind me that I was that way. I want them to support me in being organized now that I've decided to change, right? But if I don't tell them that, well, it's not their fault that they're living in the past view of me, right? This is how people interact. They know that you are one way, and they will assume that you never change. We assume nobody ever changes, which is obviously not true, but we assume it anyway. So if I have been disorganized for the first 30 years of my life, anyone who knows me is going to assume that I will continue to be disorganized. So I cannot be mad if they call me disorganized next month when I feel like I've made it. I've made it to an organized person. They're holding on to 30 years of information, right? So if I give those people who are going to be around me a heads up, I'm trying to become more patient. I'm trying to become more organized. I'm trying to become more positive. They will know that the detox is happening. They'll know your weird emotions, why that's going on. And also they will be able to hold you accountable and help you move forward. If you have a negative attitude, they'll be able to say, I thought we were going to be more positive. Okay, fine. Yeah, I was going to be more positive. Rather than if you say something negative, they totally go with it and it spirals out of control. I hope that makes sense. Try to be patient with other people, right? As they continue to see you in that old light, just love on them anyway, and don't judge them. Let's say you're in a relationship with someone, and you both need to lose weight, and you decide you're ready, and you start losing weight, and they haven't decided they're ready, and they don't start losing weight. Whatever you do, do not judge that person. They already feel judged by you growing and them not growing. Do not judge them by saying, well, if you would just eat salmon instead of a hamburger, then you could lose weight too. The point of you becoming a better person is not so that you can tell people how they're worse people, right? That's not how this works. You love everybody the way that they are. That's your responsibility, to love everyone and to grow yourself. And so if you start judging people as you grow, you're not growing. You might be moving sideways, but you need to continue to love people and give them more and more grace, because you understand how hard it is right now to get better. And super importantly, have your crystals and have your oils, right? I do believe, you guys who watch these and you haven't done the oils or the crystals yet, I 100% believe that you can watch me, you can see my journey, you can hear what the information I'm giving you guys, and you can learn, you can apply it, especially if you're in the creativity club and you do this stuff every day. 100% you can grow, but I do not think you can grow as quickly without using crystals and oils, or else I wouldn't be selling them, right? Like the whole point of my business is to do something I believe in. So when I tell you that transformation oil will help you relinquish old vibrations and pick up the new ones, release old habits and pick up new mindfulness, new habits, I 100% believe that, and I use it every day. And I do not think that that you can change as quickly without that boost. So that is my giant caveat. If you want to do a massive detox, if you've tried to get over something over and over and over again with no success, if you've started and you failed, you've started and you've stopped, it was too uncomfortable, you need, doing the same thing over and over again is the definition of insanity, right? To say, I'm just going to try and do my diet one more time. I'm just going to try and be organized one more time. Get a tool. Get a journal. Get a friend. Get an oil. Get a crystal. And if you don't know what the one is for your particular struggle, I am more than happy to have that conversation. But I would not be where I am today. I would not have transformed so much. I would not have so much energy without these tools. If I was just doing this by myself and trying to have a positive attitude to make it happen, we would not be sitting here having this conversation. This live would not be happening. I 100% believe that. And that is why I'm passionate about selling you guys these products, not just because it makes my business run, because I could have a totally different business. I could still be an artist. I could be a watercolor artist, which is what I started doing first, right? The reason I'm selling this is because I'm passionate about it. So anyways, use your tools. Do not try and go alone. And then, this is as important, okay? Celebrate your success. Every single time you take a baby step and it gets a little bit better, I want you to celebrate that. I've seen some of you guys and you'll say, you know, well, I don't know, I got into a juried show, but I'm probably not going to be as good as the other people, but I guess like it's kind of a win. Or I took some photographs, but I mean, they're not really that good. Like I wish I was better like so-and-so. Or well, I mean, I cleaned my room today, but I really wanted to clean my room and my closet, so like, I didn't really do that, so that's not. No! Celebrate the win. What you celebrate gets repeated. Things that are celebrated get repeated. That is how this works. That's why we give children candy. That's why we give dogs treats. Like, this is just the way that, you know, sentient beings work, right? So, you need to celebrate it. And the more that you celebrate it, the more your brain will decide, this is the new way we are. So if I clean my desk up at night, I 100% pat myself on the back. Because that tells my brain, oh, we like being organized. If I have a difficult interaction, if I feel like somebody is being rude to me, and I don't react with impatience, I don't react with a sense of self-righteousness, I would 100% pat myself on the back about that. Even if I know tomorrow I'm not going to do it great. Reward yourself, celebrate your success, because that is what keeps it going, right? If you have a great week of eating healthily and then you have the next couple of days you don't eat so healthily, the worst thing you can do is decide that the good stuff was a fluke and the bad stuff is really you. No, they are both you. You're choosing one or the other, and that's why you need to put so much more weight on the positive things that you do, because that will make it happen more and more and more and more frequently, okay? That may seem silly at first. It may seem like you're playing a game with yourself. It may seem like you're giving yourself more credit than you deserve. No, you're giving yourself the exact amount of credit you deserve. You are rewarding effort, and effort should always be rewarded, right? Okay. Know yourself. This is the last way to prepare. Know yourself. Do not take on something that is too much for you. If revamping your entire lifestyle, like exercising, eating better, not drinking, not smoking, like, don't do all of those at once. You know, nobody can do that. But even if eating completely healthily is something that you know that you'll fail at, or you're really, really fear that you'll fail at, either, you know, hire somebody to help you with that. Hire somebody to help give you a plan to coach you through it. Get some oils that you think will help you. or make the job smaller. Say you know you got to do this on your own. Okay, well, let's just cut out bread. Give yourself something that you can succeed at. And this goes back to the circle of influence, right? The inner circle and the outer circle that we talked about in last week's workshop. Don't make your to-do list so long that you are bound to fail, okay? Give yourself a manageable amount to achieve so that you can achieve it, so that you can then tell yourself you did a great job, so that you can then repeat that more and more and more. And then I want you to look back, next week, next month, and see, am I doing better now than I was before? And do baby steps, and then view growth in larger chunks, right? It makes me feel great to think about how I felt last November. Now, that doesn't mean that every single month I'm going to grow at the same rate. Some months may be better than other months. But if you look long term and you can appreciate your long-term success, where you were a year ago, if you didn't even have a business a year ago, or if you were in a job you hated or a relationship, like, celebrate the fact that you have made this long-term success and look back at that way, rather than just saying, well, last week I was pretty much here and now I'm pretty much here, so I must be a failure because I'm not growing fast. Does that make sense? I told you I was a little bit afraid I wasn't going to get all the way through. We have made it through. I want to tell you a little bit about next week, but I also want you guys to ask me any questions that you have. I know I missed a few different of the questions, comments. So Jen, my significant other is the most supportive, thankfully. So that's great. So, you may have a situation where this happens a lot. Like if you're in a long-term relationship, one of the things that makes them difficult is that they know all the bad things about you, right? And so if you have tried and failed and tried and failed and tried and failed, and you're going to try again, and even if you know it's different this time, they may not be the person that you need to lean on for support. You may need to go find a friend. You may need to go find a coach. You may need to go find somebody who can be your support and not put all the weight on them to believe in you for the 7th time that you're going to become organized or that you're going to stop being negative, right? It's not fair to them for them to have seen you fail over and over and ask them to have that amount of faith in you. That could go for anyone, but, and obviously, Jen, you're saying yours is supportive, but I'm saying for you guys on here who feel like you wish you had more of a supportive partner, find another partner that can support you. Find a friend or find a coach that you can rely on, and don't put the pressure on a person who can't sustain that pressure. Okay, that's not fair to them, and it's not going to help the relationship. So that's another know yourself, know your situation, right? So ask me if you have any questions, but I want to tell you next week we're going to talk about the cycle of transformation, right? And what I mean by that is making sure that you go through the whole thing. It is really, I like to think of it this way: learn. So learn and open your horizons, right? Change, and then balance. If you are continually, if you just feel like, even like me, this is, my impatience comes out. I just want to grow. There are points at which you need to stop and hang out there for a second and just be good with that amount of growth so that you can solidify where you are, and you're not just always unhappy with yourself because you think you should be at the next phase. Does that make sense? So especially if you're looking at somebody who's 6 months down the line, who's a year down the line, this goes in life and in business. If you're looking at them and you're saying, I want to get there, you need to stop and pause and be happy with where you are, and then say, okay, what are some things that no longer serve me? Let me grow again. Okay, let me settle. Let me grow again, let me settle. So we're going to talk about that aspect of the cycle of transformation, about making sure that you actually make it all the way through that cycle, or else you will burn yourself out. That is all I had. So you guys are wonderful. I know sometimes I do these and they're like super positive and it's all about planning ahead for the future and blah, blah, blah. And sometimes I have to do them and they feel to me a little bit like a downer, like I'm bursting your bubbles, right? Like I'm telling you it's not all going to be sunshine and roses. But that's the only way to make this actually work for you guys, is to be honest with you about the hard stuff and the great stuff. And so I hope I have done that. I just encourage each of you, keep showing up to the live workshops. Go to the Creativity Club. If you're not in there yet, join. If you're in there but you don't do it every day, you don't join in every day on the post, join in every day on the post. You'll get farther. If you want to try essential oils, even if it's just one bottle, if you want to get a crystal from me, if you want to do one coaching session or a month and see how it helps, do it. Don't be afraid. You are not going to hurt my feelings if you try an oil and you decide it's not for you. You're not going to hurt my feelings if you try a crystal and you decide it's not for you. If you do a coaching session with me and you decide I'm not the coach for you. I would so much rather you try and decide it's not the moment or it's not the perfect fit or whatever than to be afraid to try. Okay? So that's all I have to say about that. I am also happy. I'll hop off now. Thank you, Jen. I can't help but be honest because I just think otherwise, why sugarcoat it? Because you're going to find out the real truth if I'm not honest, right? And then you're going to be mad at me because I didn't tell you about it. I'm going to jump off now, but post any extra questions that you have in the comments. If you missed this, watch it back. The replay will happen in a second. And then if you have any questions you don't want to ask the room, that's okay too. Just private message me. I'm around for 30 minutes. You know, that's like my office hours where I'm happy to chat with any of y'all. So that is it. I love you guys. You're amazing. Thank you so much for your honesty about the things that you're working through. You being able to share that with me helps me to help you. So I appreciate your fearlessness in that way. You're all wonderful. I love you all very much. And I will see you next Tuesday, of course, for the Cycle of Transformation. Before that, I will see you every day in the Creativity Club. And if you want to message me afterwards, I will chat then too. Okay, guys? Love y'all very much. Have a wonderful week, all right? We'll talk next time. Bye.